Imagine this. You find out about a fully funded scholarship in Canada, Australia, or Japan. Everything has been paid for tuition, living, stipend, but you discover it 2 days after the deadline has passed. Now, that heartbreak is what I'm trying to save you from today. So, in this video, I'm sharing scholarship that will close in the next 2 weeks and the ones you still have time to apply if you act quickly. Now, this is part one of it. But before we go into the video, I have something to say. To make your postgraduate application easier, I have added a free postgraduate checklist in the description. But if you want a deeper support, I'm running a masterclass in October and would apply to over 20 scholarships together. And you can also book a one-to-one session with me for tailored guidance. All the links are in the description. Without wasting time, let's dive into the list. And let's start with the first opportunity, the Mastercard Scholarship in Canada. So speaking of the Mastercard Scholarship in Canada, it's the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program at the University of British Columbia, and that is a fully funded opportunity for African students to pursue a master's degree in Canada. Now, UBC is located in Vancouver and consistently ranks among the top universities globally. Now, this scholarship covers full tuition, it covers housing, travel, and living expenses. It also provides leadership development, academic support, and access to, a global network of change makers. But to be eligible for this program, you must be a citizen or a refugee of an African country. You must be under 35 years old and hold a bachelor's degree. You must not already have a master's degree, and you must meet the academic and English requirement of the university. But there are some eligible programs, and we're going to look at this now. So some of the eligible programs include, from here we can see the Master of Food Science, Master of Land and Water System, Master of Sustainable Development, and the others. Now, how do you apply to this program? Well, first thing, you have to submit an expression of interest before September 12, 2025. And then, if shortlisted, you have to complete the scholarship application by October 15th. And afterwards, if selected, you can then apply to the school by November 26th. There are application fee waivers that are available for applicants from least developed countries. Now, the final interview takes place in December and January, and successful candidates will begin their studies in August 2026. So, if you're an African and you're looking for a global experience, then this scholarship is made particularly for you. The second scholarship is the Gates Scholarship USA. Now, this is one of the most prestigious opportunities available to students from low-income backgrounds, and it is the Gates Scholarship, like we mentioned earlier. Now, this scholarship is funded by Bill Gates and Melinda Gates, the wife. So it's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and it supports exceptional student leaders who are ready to pursue a 4-year degree at accredited non-profit university in the United States. Now, whether public or private. Now, that means you're not limited to one institution. You can apply to as many schools as you want, including Harvard, Stanford, or any US university that fits your goal. Now, the value for this scholarship is, we'll call it the last dollar scholarship, which means it covers 100% of your remaining costs, tuition, living expenses, personal expenses, and all the financial aid if you apply to it. It's not just generous, it is everything. Now, to be eligible for this program, you must be a high school senior at the time of application. You must be Pell Grant eligible, be a citizen or a permanent resident. Now, this is where it becomes important. Even if you're not a resident, a US citizen, if you reside in the US, you can also apply to this. And you should have a GPA of 3.3 weighted over 4.0. Now, once again, to reiterate, you must be a US citizen or you must be a resident in the United States. So if you're an African student, you must first secure, US permanent residency first to qualify. It's a critical step in the application process. Now, the application opened in July 15 and the deadline is September 15. So you want to create a profile on the official Gates Scholarship website first. And if selected, you will then move through semi-finalists and apply to the scholarship. The basic eligibility, you must be a high school senior. You must be Pell eligible, which means you can apply for grant and you need financial aid. Now, the key point here, like I mentioned, is you must be a US citizen or a permanent resident. So you must reside in the US or as a permanent resident, or you are a citizen to apply to this. And you must be in good academic standing. Okay. So if you're an African, like I mentioned earlier, and you do not have this, one thing to keep in mind is you should have to travel there and get your residency permit as a permanent resident before you stay there or before you apply to this program. The third scholarship is the NHR Germany scholarship. Now, the NHR Graduate School PhD scholarship is offered by NHR Alliance in Germany. Now, it's a prestigious program and it's hosted across 9 NHR centers. It's affiliated with top-tier German universities. They specialize in high-performance computing and numerical simulation. Now, What do you get out of this? Now, selected PhD students will receive a generous monthly stipend of £2,200. Now, beyond funding, you benefit from supervision from internationally renowned researchers. You get access to cutting-edge training and workshop, and you even get a 6-month research secondment at another NHR center, and not NHS here in the UK. Now, you also get career coaching, mentoring, and soft skills seminar, and you also get to network with global experts in your field, including AI, which I'm interested in. Now, who can apply to this scholarship? It is open to international students, including African scholars who hold a master's degree in computer science, mathematics, natural science, engineering, or a related field. But you must meet the admission requirement for that particular program. Now, how do you apply to this program? You have to submit the application online and then you submit an application form. It includes submitting a completed application form, letter of motivation, CV, research statement, as you can see, and like we mentioned, these are the benefits. You also submit proof of English proficiency, a letter of recommendation. Now, all of these things are things you have to submit. Remember, the deadline for this application is September 15, 2025. The funding begins in April 1st, 2026, but the deadline for application is September 15. We still have time, so go ahead and apply to this scholarship. Number four. Number four is the Canon Foundation Fellowship Program. If you're an African scholar with a master's or a PhD and you've got a passion for research, now the Canon Foundation Research Scholarship at the University of Twente in Netherlands could be your gateway to global cooperation. Now, this prestigious fellowship offers up to 30,000 euros per year, and it's incredibly flexible. You can use it for funds, living expenses, research costs, books, insurance, literally anything you want. Now, whether you're in education, engineering, all fields are welcome, all disciplines. But here's the exciting part. As a European-based university, Twente hosts Japanese researchers, but European fellows, including those from Africa, can conduct research in Japan. And you get to choose your host institution and supervisor, which makes it really flexible. To apply to this scholarship, you will need first a research plan. You need confirmation from your host universities. You also need two reference letters, among other documents. And of course, you also need a research proposal like every other research program. And then you also need one passport photo size photograph and a list of academic publications you have. Now, there is a high success rate in this particular scholarship. And like I've mentioned, you don't need to be currently enrolled or employed. And priority is given to first-time travelers to Japan or Europe. So if you've never traveled to Japan or Europe, priority is given to you. Now, the application for these close on 15th of September 2025. So start preparing now if you want to apply to this scholarship. Start preparing now if you want to apply to the scholarship. All right, now let's go to the next one. Number five, the Honjo Japan Scholarship. Let's talk about the scholarship opportunity itself, which is really cool. Now, the scholarship is called the Honjo International Scholarship. It is offered to international students pursuing a master's or a PhD program at Ritsumeikan Asian Pacific University. I practiced that for a long time, and that is located in Japan. It's a vibrant academic hub, and it's known for global opportunities. Now, here is what makes this scholarship opportunity truly life-changing. It gives you a monthly stipend of 230,000 yen. Now, that's enough to cover your living expenses, research costs, and even more than that. But this is the important part. Who is eligible for this program? Well, first, you must be a non-Japanese and you must be applying to the university graduate school. You must be 29 or younger. So if you're older than 29, sorry. 34 or younger for a PhD, but for a master's, it must be younger than 29 or 29. You should have conversational Japanese skills. You should be able to converse in Japanese. You've been watching those Japanese movies, right? And most importantly, you should have a strong desire to serve in your home country after graduation and promote international goodwill. The application process is simple but requires two steps. First, you apply to the program and you submit a separate application. You have to apply, and remember, the deadline is September 16, 2025. We've just discussed 5 scholarship deadline in 2 weeks. The deadlines are around the corner, so don't wait until the last day because technical errors and missing document could ruin your chances. So here's what you should do. Download my free scholarship checklist in the description, book a one-to-one session if you want tailored guidance, and don't forget the scholarship masterclass is in October. We'll be applying to over 20 scholarship, over 20 in US, in Canada, in Australia, and in other part of Europe as well. So if you want to join the masterclass, the link is in the description. If you find this video very interesting, you would also find this other video interesting where I talked about the reason you should not give up in scholarship application. So I'll see you in part 2 of this video.